Sugar's the most addictive substance like on the planet. To think that like a 4-year-old can manage that,
right?
A 7-year-old, an 8-year-old,
They
a 10-year-old, no, they can't. It's like saying, "Here's heroin, bro. Just use it sparingly." Could you imagine if I said yes to everything that you wanted to put in your body? I'm like, you'd be this big,
yeah,
and they would be.
I tried to explain it to them, and I think I might have like freaked them out a little bit, and I didn't mean to do that. I just was trying to make it super real because Kennedy is the absolute worst. She will ask for anything and everything, which later will serve her in different situations, but not when it comes to like drinks and food and sodas and all that, which I don't keep any soda in the house at all because I don't even like soda.
I am Josh Galindo. I've built several successful businesses utilizing the one tool everybody has, the mind. I am here to guide, coach, and prepare you. We will debate, discuss, and grow our minds together so you can obtain your own success. Fuck average, be legendary. This is my podcast.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Having a bit of a frustrating morning.
Yeah. Do you want to vent it out?
I think it's too close to home to vent it all out. But my OCD, which I know is what has served me well through my entire journey, is on like fucking 10. Like everywhere I look, there's fucking chaos. Mm-hmm. Everywhere I look, it's messy. Everywhere I look, it's unorganized. And the thing with unorganization is that you start down that path and then you walk by that unorganized space over and over. And before you know it, it feels like it belongs there. Mm-hmm. And there's not any cleaning up. Like everything needs to be put back the way it was supposed to be the day it was fucking established. Otherwise, you wake up in fucking 6 months and looks like shit.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what's happening a little bit. Okay. But I know that it's rooted in OCD, which I'd love to go and get fixed. But I also understand that what has put the Galindo Group brand in a position to be recognized because it's lives in a space of consistent beauty, and the masses cannot deny beauty. So if you're good at that, then stick to it. But I need the people around me to support me in that space because I can't fucking do it all.
No.
That's what's going on. So good morning to those that are listening. If you have OCD, embrace it. How are you?
I do not have OCD.
No, you don't.
And I think it served me well.
Good.
I'm just kidding.
I think it's a blended effect in our household.
I mean, if I had time, I would be more OCD, I think.
That's what people tell themselves.
Yeah. So maybe you could do soccer practice all week and I'll make sure it's all fixed.
The funny thing is that wasn't directed at you.
Oh.
And you have transformed the way you live.
Thank you.
During our marriage.
Yeah. I remember the one time you almost broke up with me because there's only been one time, right? Before we were married, and it was at your house, and I started like staying over there a lot, and I think I had like a pair of shoes in the living room, maybe a shirt.
Oh, get the fuck out of here.
Maybe a shirt.
So
I don't
delusional.
know. Babe, it was not
absolutely painted in La La Land.
Oh my gosh.
Good. Finish your understanding of the story and I'll tell you mine.
I had like 2 shirts out and a pair of shoes. And you were feeling so overwhelmed, I was crowding your space.
House. There was so much shit laying around this fucking house that I had to make it a point before she got there. I walked around, I picked every single thing up that could have possibly have been mine.
Okay.
And then I organized the entire house and left everything else. When you walked upstairs, I said, every single thing you see is yours. And it wasn't a pair of shoes and a shirt.
My memory has served me well throughout the years.
That moment, I'll never forget. Trust me. You were like, huh? Oh, no, this is the norm.
And you were like,
no, it's
I need
not
a
the
break.
norm.
You needed it. I was like,
No,
oh.
I'll tell you what I did because it might be a nugget for the people listening. Is I called my mom.
Well,
and
but you told me to leave
I asked
first.
you. Well, I probably asked you to pick all your shit up, and then I asked you to leave. And I can't imagine. I said, "Please leave me in the state of shock that I'm experiencing and leave."
I was like, "Okay, it's okay."
So about an hour and a half later, after because it took you that long to clean everything up because there was so much
up.
shit.
That's how we know you're lying.
I don't remember how long it took you to pick it all up, and I don't even remember if you picked it up.
I
Anyway.
probably picked it up in one swoop because it's probably 2 shirts and a pair of shoes.
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. I'm gonna go on tilt.
Okay.
So I call my mom. I go, Mom, I really like this chick, but she's as messy as a 16-year-old teenager that has been given free reign to never ever clean her room. I didn't say that, but I worded it of that liking.
Because that's not true.
And it wasn't true. But I just said she doesn't align with my value in this one space, but she aligns with all the other 50 values. I don't know, however you want to word it. I just said, hey, what do I do? Because I'm really, really frustrated. And she said, whatever you do, don't do
whatever you
normally do. And I was like, wow.
I think you should re-say that. Whatever you normally do.
That's what she said. Whatever you normally do, don't do that. And it was killer advice because my instant reaction, which is generally speaking with any human, is to delete that human from your sphere because that human is inflicting pain. And the only way to alleviate the pain is to remove them from your environment. And so that was usually my gig. If a girl did something that was uncomfortable for me, the way I dealt with it was literally by deleting their phone number. Mm-hmm. And I never memorized phone numbers so that I couldn't call them back or text them if I wanted to. And texting wasn't as relevant as it is today. Anyway, so that was my default. But she said, that was my default to explain that up front. And my mom must have known that. But it was pretty powerful insight because it was a moment of growth where it was like, this is a very conscious moment for you, honey. Whatever you normally do, just don't do that. And so it forced me to get out of auto default mode and go, okay, well, what would I had to first identify what I would normally do, which would be to push the pain away. I was like, I must endure the pain and confront the issue and get more creative around how to deal with conflict. Because that's really what it was at its core. And so I remember establishing a plan, but I must have. Okay. And I called you back over, or I called you on the phone, or whatever it was. And
the next day.
The next day, okay. And I just communicated with you, which was so funny. I was like, here's what I'm feeling. Here's what I need. Here's what can you do to give me what I need? Can we find compromise? Whatever it was. But it was a very productive conversation. And we worked it out. And what was so great about that experience was because there was already an overwhelming amount of love and affection and intrigue and all the above with you. And it's such a disappointing headspace to have to start teeing yourself up for having to let that go. And that's the traditional space that I would go to, which is where it's like, okay, we're going to move on. We're done with her, or whatever the relationship is. This is actually very applicable to all relationships. And when I confronted the conflict and found resolve through the conflict, that was where that extreme dopamine hit came back, which implied reward for the difficult choice I had to make.
Yeah.
And the overwhelming feeling was like, I don't have to let it go. I don't have to run from it. And I get to continue to feel all these incredible feelings because of this person.
You're able to work through it.
Exactly. Yes. And it's simple. I was breaking down, and thank you for summarizing it because that is the general term. I'm breaking down what it means to work through conflict. And it was a great feeling. And that, honestly, I remembered, I will never forget, and it served me since, that because I'd never, honey, experienced that you were the very first that it had ever happened with. And it was an awesome feeling. And I remember feeling more in love and more connected and having a deeper affection and appreciation and love and the whole nine for you.
So really, we need to give a shout out to Angelina Galindo for saving her relationship.
Yeah. Angelina Galindo is the reason we have 4 amazing children and a beautiful marriage. So anyway.
Hey, I can understand the feeling. You know, I learned early on that I don't like conflict, so I just kind of let everything go and don't let it bother me like that. Do you remember when you lived at Chepstow, the closest store or gas station was 10 minutes away?
Very far.
Very far. So anytime I went over there, it was like, if I'm already there, this sucks. If there's no water, food, or anything. So I remember one time I was like, you know what? I'm going to load up on snacks because every time I go over there, there's nothing to eat because it's full of to-go boxes, nothing in the pantry. So I loaded up on snacks, leave it in the pantry, and then I leave. I come back 3 days later and I'm like, I don't have to go to the store because there's going to be so many snacks that I bought. And they were completely gone. All of them. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
You know,
and I was like, you know what? I should just tell him I don't like this. This doesn't work for me. But I was like, I'm just gonna go to the store and buy more snacks.
I have that was your conflict resolution.
That was my conflict, and I worked it out in my own head.
I think what is funny that I heard one time is that large families of 4 or more, are very possessive of food. And I'm not from that space. Like, it was just my sister and I.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even have a dad, or my mom, was often working. So it wasn't like if there was an abundance of food in the pantry, there was just simply an abundance of food that wasn't going to dissipate overnight. And these big families, it's kind of funny. So if you're from a big family, you might find this fascinating if you self-reflect, is you're generally a little bit possessive of food.
Yes.
Because, like, in your household, if there was a box of beef jerky, there was 5 other motherfuckers coming to grab it.
Yes.
So you had to grab whatever you could.
Okay,
while
so
it was relevant.
Funny, because I have vivid memories of this. My mom she'd go to the store, she'd buy the bag of all the snack bags of chips, or the granola bars. Well, the granola bars is a pack of 8. There's 4 of us. That means there's only 2 for me. But someone's going to come take 2 at once, and then there's only so many left. I remember when my mom would go shopping and no one else was around, I would take whatever snacks I wanted and threw them in the back of the pantry behind everything. So that was my little snack pack. I had the stuff hidden there. And I remember one time when my mom was cleaning out the pantry, she's like, what is all this stuff back here? And I bet you, we still did it after that,
She
too.
found Krystal's pantry.
I bet you there's still snacks back there.
Old ass snacks from 98. Yeah, I think that's pretty relevant. Pretty true. So how do you think that shows up in our family? Because growing up, again, it was just my sister and I. There was never any feeling of scarcity. It was always a ton of food. But our kids are pretty, I don't know if they're...
I can tell you that they do that.
Are they possessive?
Yeah. Yeah. When they go to pack their lunches, they grab 3 applesauces. And I'm like, why do you have 3 applesauces? You shouldn't have 3 applesauces in one lunch. Well, this is for the week. Oh, so you're getting it ahead of time so that it doesn't run out by the time the end of the week comes and there's no applesauces left. But they do that with a lot of things.
It's so funny. It's so
Beckham
instinctual.
literally had 4 protein bars in his lunchbox this morning. And I go, why do you have that many protein bars in there? He's like, well, I need snacks for All-Stars. I need it for tomorrow. And they're just really good. And I'm like, okay, only have 1 in a day, please.
You do a good job managing that whole food thing.
Thank you.
You got these kids on lock. Do you think most families, the kids ask if they can have stuff still?
That's how I grew up. I grew up having to ask. And if I got caught having something without asking, I would see my mom throw the whole thing away or send me to my room.
What age do you think that goes away?
Probably
12?
Yeah, I was going to say 13, middle school age.
I wonder
12,
if it's just 13. When they start to understand the impact of food. Because they don't have a clue right now. One of the things that I do to make a joke for Beckham, Kennedy, Kinsley, Jagger's not aware enough yet to make the joke, but I'm like, could you imagine if I said yes to everything that you wanted to put in your body? I'm like, you'd be this big.
Yeah.
And they would be.
Yeah. I tried to explain it to them, and I think I might have freaked them out a little bit, and I didn't mean to do that. I just was trying to make it super real because Kennedy is the absolute worst. She will ask for anything and everything, which later we'll serve her in different situations, but not when it comes to like drinks and food and sodas and all that, which I don't keep any soda in the house at all because I don't even like soda. But with the candy and stuff, I like they have a bunch of Easter candy because I don't just buy candy, right? So they have a bunch of Easter candy, and I'm like, if you ask me like 4 times a day for candy, I will literally take this whole bucket and throw it away because you're scaring me with like, I understand that sugar's addicting, but I try to explain like how bad it could be. So I don't know.
The science out there is that sugar's the most addictive substance like on the planet.
Here's the thing.
So to think that like a 4-year-old can manage that,
right?
A 7-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 10-year-old, no, they can't. It's like saying, "Here's heroin, bro. Just use it sparingly."
Well, what I will say is, I do feel like Beckham's really good about it, right? Like if I get a wild hair and I take him to get a donut, if he's full, he doesn't ever finish his whole donut. He's like, nah, I'm good. But I do remember there was 2 times we went to a birthday party, and like birthday parties, I usually let him like kind of have a free for all because I control it so much at home. But I was like, if you have too much sugar, it's not going to make you feel good. You're going to have a stomach ache. And I remember we were on the way to Lazy Dogs, and we got to Lazy Dogs after that birthday party, and he threw up. At the table. Yeah. And I'm like, it's because you had too much sugar. And I don't know if like maybe that helped him realize. Like I tell myself that. I don't know if that's why.
I would
but
imagine
maybe
that
Kennedy
was a
needs to
memory.
eat it to the point where she throws up.
Yeah.
And then she'll realize that, it's not good for you.
The way that the gut works, from my understanding, when I was like super into dieting, this is something I read one time, is that whatever you give it a lot of, it craves more of that. And so the fact that we don't, like if you just eat lots of carbs, your biochemistry or whatever it is, and your gut bacteria, one of those 2 phrases, begin to morph into craving more of that and saying, give me more of that. So, and the same thing can happen with if you eat chicken, broccoli, and rice.
Right.
Which any type of food. So if you're wanting to really go healthy, if you just force your body to eat it for like, maybe 2 weeks straight, your body will all of a sudden start craving more of that and will be like super turned off to like any kind of sweets or sugars.
Yeah.
But so I think the fact that we keep that on such lock, their body doesn't crave it. So when they do have a donut, it's not like, let me inhale the entire donut.
Right.
It's like, that's cool. I'm satisfied. If I push beyond this point, it's not going to be comfortable.
Yeah.
So I think it's serving them.
Yeah.
I think it's good habits. I mean, there's so many, I hate to even go here because I'll probably be ridiculed for it, but there's so many children in America right now that are obese. And it's like, dude, they're 7.
Yeah.
Like how is a 7-year-old obese? Like just think to create an obese 7-year-old, the amount of calories, because dude, Beckham, Kennedy, Kinsley, Jagger,
right,
burn probably 2 or 3 times the amount of calories that you and I burn in a day. So think how many calories that kid has to consume to have a calorie surplus,
right,
instead of a deficit. You know what I'm saying? Like it's an ungodly amount of shit food.
No, I agree. And I also feel like, I feel like, I don't know, this is my own analysis and I don't know if this is even true or not, but this is what I think. I think like we're in a world of like instant gratification, right? So kids are always needing something to do and then they're just bored very easily, right? When you're bored, you get hungry.
Yeah.
So I feel like the kids, they are always asking for something to eat. And I'm like, if I let you eat something every single time you ask me to eat, you would be way overweight. Like, go have an apple if you're really hungry. Go have a banana.
Right.
Go have an orange. Like, go have something. Go have carrots and ranch. That's my, like, last night. Like, we just got done eating dinner and you're still hungry. Go have an apple.
Yeah.
Like,
they all ate apples.
they all ate an apple.
My mom made a point one time. She's like, there's a chemical in processed food that turns your I'm full button off.
Yeah.
And she's like, and I'm like, huh? Like, what do you know? And I'm sure there's science to it, but I'll just give it layman's terms. And so I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, try to eat a full bag of carrots and tell me how that works. You could never do it.
No.
Try to eat 5 apples. You could never do it.
But a bag of Doritos?
But a bag of Doritos? How can you... the fact that you can eat a bag of Doritos certainly implies there's something in there that's telling your body you're not full. Keep eating. You know?
Yeah.
It's quite interesting. We're talking about American food.
Well, okay, before we jump off, because there's two things. I learned something yesterday from my naturopath doctor. So she was saying like the Splendas, the Sweet and Lows are absolutely awful. Like I thought Splenda was okay.
Yeah, that
it's
Splenda
not.
was the good.
Stevia is okay.
Okay.
If you have to, but the other ones are awful. And she's like, "Do you drink soda?" And I was like, "No, I don't." And she was like, "Okay, I was just gonna say if you do, don't drink the Coke Zero, don't drink the Diet Coke, drink the traditional Coke because the sugar in there is not as bad as all the artificial stuff that's in the diet and the zero." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't realize that, you know?" So then I was talking to my sister about it, and you know how she is with all that stuff. She's a crazy researcher. And she said that they did a study last year in October on pregnant women that drank Diet Coke during their pregnancy, and they were 3 more times likely to have an autistic child.
Ooh.
Isn't that crazy?
Oof.
Because of all the artificial stuff. Not regular Coke, just Diet Coke.
Yeah, this is another sensitive topic. Cause
I'm like, what?
That's insane. Because we're so blessed, and I have sympathy for folks that aren't as blessed as us that may have had autistic kids, and certainly not their fault because it's never intentional.
No, not their fault. No.
But I never even heard of autism growing up.
Right.
Did you?
No.
I didn't know if maybe I was just a delusional 8-year-old, 12-year-old.
No, I also think that I think that, yes, you're right, but there wasn't as many kids with issues, but I think it is because of our food.
Yeah.
You know, and that's whose fault is that? That's not our fault.
No, it's the food provided to us, to society.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Start fucking farming in your backyard? You know what I'm saying? You know that you can, but that's an unrealistic expectation to put on America.
Right, right.
Yeah, it's interesting. That whole food thing, man, it translates into the body for sure. If I eat like shit, I feel like shit. If I eat just lean, dense proteins and veggies, I feel like $1 million. I can't even eat a bowl of pasta anymore. Like, remember we were just like, if I eat too late now, it's terrible.
It does not serve you the next day.
No, like, well, it's not even the next day. Actually, I rebound from that.
For me, it's the next day.
It's the evening. Like I lay down and all night I'm tossing and turning and like I hate eating late. And so that's kind of been my new thing is I sit down. If it's a late dinner, it's like I'll have my drinks and stuff. I can manage that. I'm not that old yet.
Yeah, and when we say late, we're saying like 8:30, not like you don't have to have dinner. You don't have to have dinner at 5.
No, 5 is perfect if I could, but that's unrealistic. The soccer thing's kind of thrown a wrench in that game.
Yeah,
These poor soccer parents are victims of eating late because of their kids' soccer. Enlightening, to say the least.
Right.
And how important I think it is to monitor what your children are eating, to try to stay away from processed foods, to try to be conscious of it. I'm even insecure about that stuff because it's easy to saying that, you know, we're not a perfect family by any stretch, but there's like weeks where I'm like, I reanalyze what the kids have eaten and it's like carbs. And Beckham's not the tallest kid in his class by any stretch. And it's my understanding that the protein is like the foundation of growth. Certainly not carbs.
Yeah.
Carbs makes you grow right to left. Protein makes you grow up or down. And
well, so it's funny you say that because I was just talking to someone at a birthday party last week about she was talking about how her son wasn't that tall. He's in 6th grade. And she took him to an endocrinologist, but she took him too late because he had already started puberty and there's things that you can't do once they already start. So I was like, shoot, I should take him now before he starts. So then I texted Dana, our neighbor, like, hey, do you know of one here? And she recommended me one, and she said that her niece wasn't growing, so they took her, and the endocrinologist, like, did all the labs and everything, and she had a sensitivity to gluten. The second she cut out all the gluten in her diet, she, like, shot up. She grew super tall.
It's insane.
And I'm like, that's wild.
That goes right back to our food conversation.
Yeah.
Like the shit that is in this food is fucking scary.
And honestly, I mean, I know that sounds crazy, but that's one thing from my like cancer journey that I'm thankful for. Cause that like, I would have been like so passive, like, okay, what do you need organic chicken for? What do you need this for? Like, I didn't have an understanding of that world until it like directly affected my health. And I'm like, well, if I have a gene, there's a chance that the kids have a gene and I need to like manage this now, you know?
Yeah. I never got tested.
No,
I
you
wonder
didn't.
if I have a gene.
You probably should. It's $100.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter now. What are we going to know?
Yes, it does matter, because what if it's like prostate or something like that? You start monitoring when you're 40 next year. It's about monitoring like early.
Early detection.
Yes, sorry.
That was a fascinating little podcast, but I think that that's a little quickie, and we won't bore you out with more food talk, but that is how we run our household.
That definitely wasn't planned.
No, it wasn't planned.
That was totally organic.
But people ask, like, you know, they're fascinated. A very kind lady ran up to me at the gym yesterday and said she listens to every single episode of the podcast.
So
shout out to you for acknowledging that, and I appreciate it. But people are curious how we run our world. I think that they'd be more shocked that it's a pretty normal operation. There's nothing special happening over here.
It's just straight chaos, and what's happening in the next 10 minutes, figure it out.
Yep, you just figure it out every minute that goes by. Solid?
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you guys on the next one.
All right.
Hey guys, that's going to do it for today's episode. If you guys want to learn more about the tools, tips, and tricks that I use on a daily basis to maintain my success, stay connected with me through all of my socials at I am Josh Galindo.